Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are finally back with a new Ballbuster video.
Yeah.
And this one is probably, you're going to hear me touting the excellence of this movie because it's one of my top 10 movies of all time. This week we saw The Rocketeer.
Yeah. Which, when you brought it up, I was kind of like, oh, fuck me. Because when I was a kid, I didn't really care for this movie. And there's a reason for that. And there was a reason, like, this movie, like, when I watched it now, I have a completely different appreciation for it. I like it now. It, like, changed my mind about it.
Okay.
Now, the thing people have to understand, when this movie was released, it was up against some really tough competition. Because when it came out, it was same time as Turtles 2.
Yeah.
And, what the hell else was out? It was, it was Turtles 2 and some other big major release was out at the same time.
Okay.
And Disney was kind of the problem that screwed this movie over. Because the movie didn't do so well. It had like a $25 million budget, I believe, that went up to 40 toward the end of it. And I don't think it made all that back. But it did better with VHS releases. Because people started, like, they gave it a chance then. And they're like, oh yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Because and they geared this movie towards kids, which really it shouldn't have been. Because this movie was like an homage back to like the serials of the 30s and 40s, like back in World War II and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that was things where like adults would have understood more than kids.
Was it Dick Tracy was out at the same time?
I'm not sure. There was, I don't remember. There were two big movies, and I know Turtles 2 was one of them. And most kids at that time, what were you going to go to the theater and see?
Yeah.
Turtles 2. So that was what kind of killed it at the box office. But if they would have like geared it towards adults, I think this would have went like fantastic. This would have been like one of those movies that we now would be remembering like this was the quintessential 90s movie to watch because this was just awesome, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it is. Like, you watch it today, it's like, yeah, sure, like, when he's flying, like, you can tell some of it's blue screen and everything, but it still looks better than other movies at that time, like, Supergirl, for example. Supergirl's flying scenes look fucking horrible. And they were at the same year, you know?
Yeah. This movie looks better than CGI movies of now.
Yeah.
And I love the villains. I love the story.
The casting is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, when I was a kid, I didn't know who any of these fucking people were. But rewatching it now, I'm like, holy shit, like, there was a lot of big-name actors in this damn movie.
Mm-hmm. And
they all played their parts perfectly. Even, I can't remember his last name, but it was Billy, who played the Rocketeer.
He hasn't been in much since.
No, I can't remember his last name, but, like, they casted him because they wanted a nobody.
Yeah.
And, like, he was fucking perfect. He played it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing about him was, he had a fear of flying.
Did he?
Yeah.
See, I just watched the movie. You did, like, research.
I did a little research. I read, like, he had a fear of flying, and how they got around it was, like, the stunt coordinator that was gonna, like, help him through all of his, like, where he's dangling on wires and stuff. Like, he told him, like, how to, like, realign his, like, cerebellum and everything to like make himself like feel like he's still grounded even though he's swinging around, and like then of course like any plane scene they had a stunt double and all that kind of thing. But
yeah,
it was like I just find it funny. It's like a movie about a guy who straps a rocket pack on his back, had a fear of flying.
Well, yeah, and he probably needed work, so of course you're gonna.
Yeah, well, and like Disney fought tooth and nail. They didn't want this guy to be the Rocketeer.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted some big name actor because, of course, it's Disney.
Yeah.
So, and like they fought, like, from what I understood and from what I've read, like this movie was actually in development hell for a long time.
I can imagine.
Until it finally got the go ahead, and Disney just said, "Fine, here's your budget, whatever. We don't care anymore."
Mm-hmm.
And then when they saw the final product, they're like, "All right, we need to make a shit ton of toys.
Yeah. We
need to get video games. We need everything for this."
Yeah. Was it a financial success?
Not off the bat, no.
Well, it's a cult classic now.
It is.
And I gotta tell you, the guy who played the German, like the big German thug with the hat, the Frankenstein guy, he is the greatest part of the whole movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He scared the shit out of me as a kid. And then when I'm watching it a couple nights ago, that whole scene with him on the blimp, where he's like, shackled in, like, he puts the harness on so he doesn't fall off the blimp while they're fighting. And it gets knocked down, he comes crashing through, and then he comes back, He's not out yet. When he's running, when the blimp is blowing up, one of the greatest scenes in movie history, when he's running. And the blimp is like, ah! And of course, Howard Hughes shows up at the right time, and they get on the fucking robot.
They made Howard Hughes like a superhero in this movie. That was the other thing. I started geeking out over it, because I was like, fucking Christ. Howard Hughes is like the man in this movie.
In reality, he was like an asshole.
Yeah, he was. He was an asshole. But it was like, and that's basically the plot of this movie, is like, some guy stumbles upon, like, the Germans, the Nazis were trying to get a prototype or his plans for this rocket suit. Yeah. To which a young kid just finds and starts, like, using it to fight crime, essentially. And, like, Howard Hughes, like, through most of the beginning of the movie is just like, I should have never built this thing. Yeah. This was terrible, this is the worst invention I could have ever, And then, like, toward the end of it, he's like, I'm the greatest! Yeah. I'm the shit! Yeah.
Well, and, there's some historical fact there. To the whole point where... in the early 30s... Now, this takes place way before we actually went to war. Yes. You gotta remember, Nazis came into power, I think, 33, 34. Yeah. They really took off 36. This happens around that time. We didn't go to war with them until 1944. Mm-hmm. You heard of the Hindenburg? That was a Nazi blimp. Yes. And we had relationships with Nazi Germany. So did England. Hitler promised both the United States and England that he would not invade Poland. And then he went ahead and did it. But before that time period, we had, even though they were not great relationships, we had relationships with them. And Nazis had spies over here trying to figure out stuff. I think they recently found, a Nazi submarine in the Mississippi River? Yeah. From that time period. So Nazi spies were over here. So there's some truth to how this movie took place. Yeah. So
it's crazy to think about it. Like,
not saying the Rocketeer really existed. I'm just saying that the whole idea behind the premise of it, it's believable. It's somewhat believable. He doesn't get superpowers. He stumbles upon a rocket pack. It's a smart little movie, which I think is excellent for kids. I think it gets overlooked quite a bit. And I give it a 10 out of 10. What do you think about that? 10 out of 10, top 10 movies of all time. The nostalgia factor for this one for me is way off the charts.
Oh, Robin Hood was out at the same time.
Prince of Thieves?
Yes.
Which critics panned big time.
It was a huge success.
Well, because Kevin Costner and Christian Slater were in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just like... it's like saying, here's a pepperoni pizza. Like, fuck. Like, it's perfect.
Well, back then, they were the big to-do. They were today's Justin Bieber and Vin Diesel, I guess. I don't know. Pretty much, Are they big?
Not anymore, no.
I guess Bieber's not. Who the hell's the big?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't keep up with
the big to-do. Some cuckolding PC.
Jesus Christ.
Some cuckolding PC stars.
It's Lord, which we all know is Randy Marsh in real life.
I don't think I've ever heard a Lord song. I probably have, but I wouldn't.
You probably have, but you just don't know.
I don't know.
It was another interesting side note for this is since Howard Hughes was in it. Howard Hughes is the direct inspiration for Tony Stark's father. That's why they called him Howard Stark. Oh, yeah. They gave him the mustache, and he had, he always wore like a nice like tie shirt and then like parachute aviator pants.
I mean, anyone who knows anything about history, American history, people listening to this probably don't even know who Howard Hughes is.
Probably not, no. Some of you do.
Yeah. Leonardo DiCaprio made a movie about him. It's called The Aviator. Yeah. Since I highly doubt people listening to this will crack a history book, go watch that. They'll give you...
I'll pretty much take care of that for you.
But you could definitely tell he's the inspiration, not only for Howard Stark, but probably Tony Stark as well.
Yeah. It trickles down the line, yeah.
Being a, eccentric billionaire.
Yeah.
Who's
Playboy philanthropist.
Yeah. Who's insanely intelligent. Because he was intelligent.
Yeah.
And he was weird. In fact, towards the end of, I think it was I was reading a book, heaven forbid.
Shouldn't do that.
Yeah. where towards the end, because Howard Hughes becomes a recluse, where he doesn't leave his mansion, starts collecting his piss in his own jars.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, the way they would procreate or have sex would be she was always in her room and he was always in his room. And what he would do
I think I read about this somewhere.
He would give a note saying, "Would you like to come over and spend some time together?" and give it to the butler. And the butler would slide it under her door, and she would reply back, "Yes, that will be great. I just need to do some things. How does 1 a.m. sound?" Slide it under his door. And then he would write 1 a.m. works. And she would come over, take her clothes off. They would have 5 minutes, whatever, of sex. She would get up, clean herself off.
Go back to her room.
Go back to her room.
Yep.
That was it.
As with most geniuses, that's all the time you got.
Yeah. He was eccentric, so he became a germaphobe, I think.
Yeah, well, that's a case that I see a lot of people like that go through. Like, eccentric, really smart people. They end up, they start thinking too much about things, and then their brain travels off into some weird realm, and then they start, there's germs everywhere. They'll end up, they'll do research on germs and shit, and then they're like, oh my god, they're everywhere. Nobody's clean. Nothing's clean. I mean, look at Howie Mandel. I mean,
I would genius. I don't know if I'd do that. I mean, I think
there's where the joke comes in.
Fucking guy who became famous for taking a fucking plastic glove, blowing it up, and putting it over his head.
This is true. He did.
And that led to Bobby's World. That was it.
That was his moment in the sun.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good little movie. If you got kids, make them watch it.
Yeah. I give this, I think I give it about a 9.5.
This is back before
Disney. Pretty damn good.
Yeah. This was back before Disney became super PC.
Yeah.
This is back when they were doing great things.
Yeah, I don't think this movie would fly now. I mean, I heard that there were talks about them doing a remake of it.
No.
But if they remake it, it's, what it's going to happen to it. It's just not going to work.
Although, I think the Rocketeer, I would allow that. I would give that one a pass as far as being remade.
You give that a pass?
I think I would give that one a pass if they stayed somewhat true to the original.
Well, that's the thing. They're not gonna.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, when you look at today, kids today, do they want that? No.
No.
They want to be, kids from the ages of, you make a movie like that, PG-13, okay? You got kids today the age of, 15 to, I'm going to use the age group, 15 to 25.
Okay.
We just got done talking about, PC cuckolding wimps. That's all they are. They don't want that.
Yeah.
So,
they should just do kind of like a made for Netflix or Hulu kind of thing. Like, if they're going to do a remake of it.
How about a series? 13.
That would even be better. Do a series out of it. Because there's nothing out of what's on TV right now. There's nothing like that. Like, you don't even have, any Western type shit. Well, I guess you do. You have Torchwood or whatever that. No, Torchwood's not a Western.
Deadwood?
Deadwood, yeah.
Well, Deadwood got canceled.
Oh, okay. So you don't have a Western.
You got Hell on Wheels. Hell on Wheels is good, but that's in its last season.
Yeah. So there you go. Do a Rocketeer miniseries even.
What about another movie I would give a pass to is Dick Tracy, if they did a remake of it, but they can't because Warren Beatty owns the rights to it.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah. And he won't allow him to. So there's that.
Well, there you go. We both give it high scores. And the movie, since I guess it's my turn now.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to let you borrow it because I'm sure you don't have it anywhere in your house. And I will give you the English version of it so you can catch what's going on.
All right.
We're going to review Godzilla 1985 next week. Because that is a nostalgic movie from my childhood. I have 4 different versions of it because I love it so much. So
they made Godzilla in 1985, and that's why it's called Godzilla 1985?
Yeah. In Japan, it was called Godzilla's Return. Because in the original 50s movie, they killed him with a weapon that they designed. Now, this is basically an offspring that comes back all these years later, because this movie takes place during the Cold War time.
Okay.
So that's why they decided to remake this movie at that time, because it's another nuclear disaster that could have possibly happened.
Okay. All right.
So there you go.
Godzilla 1985 it is.
Yep, there you go.
All right.
So, as always, everybody, you can find all of our information on where to find us down in the annotations below.
Okay.
All of our links are there.
And get some recommendations in for Fred's Frontline segment.
Yeah.
You want to hear me complain and bitch about something? Get it in there.
Yeah. It's a new series. It's going strong already. As always, everybody, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you in the next episode.